Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you how to build a super simple but impactful feature to our online food ordering website, which is basically a real-time open or close indicator. Users will be able to see immediately if we are open or closed, and we'll be able to make it somewhat visually appealing by giving it some icons, colors, rounded badges, but more importantly, have it reusable so we can use it in different places throughout the application. Basically, what we'll be covering is how important React concepts like conditional rendering, use effect can be when you want to have live updates, and integrating them into small UI components can be very simple but give a very good end user experience. Ultimately, you'll pick up on how to give some real-time feedback, which is going to enhance the UX experience, conditionally render in React, and use effect to help give live updates or to give a live state update, I should say, so that we can give a better end user experience. So with that said, let's jump in and get started. So we'll start by creating a simple reusable component for our application. So to kind of talk about what we currently have, we have a online seafood ordering website that we built with nextjs that takes care of the front and back end. We're connected to a PostgreSQL database by using Prisma, and we're using Tailwind and Daisy UI to help with styling. So currently we have a fully functional website. We've seeded data into the database just by adding some dummy data that you can see listed here on screen. As the user places an order, just so you can see what it looks like, users have the ability to distinguish what size of the food they want and also some add-ins. And then based upon their selections, there'll be a total that'll be calculated in the order summary. So basically what we have, just to give a quick demonstration, if the user clicks on a item that they'd like to have from the menu, they can distinguish what size of the item they want, whether they want a small, medium, or large. In this example, we're going to select medium. And the only add-on that we want to have is extra vegetables. And we'll also leave special instructions to maybe say butter or sauces on the side. We'll click add to order, and then immediately you see with no page refresh, the item appears in the order summary, and it calculates the amount that's due, which is the size of the item and the additional add-on. All of this is being done rendered from the server with no client-side interactivity. That's what makes Next.js special, and one of the reasons I wanted to use it for this particular app. We also have the ability to update the items within the order summary. So let's just say we no longer want to have the extra vegetables. We can click remove, we get a simple loading animation, and that item is removed from the order summary. But what we want to do now is we want to give the user the ability to see if we are open or closed immediately without having to take a second look at their watch or the clock on their computer. So the way we're going to go about doing this is by creating a separate component that will basically leverage the local time to see if we're open or not. And if we're open, we'll send something back to the user letting them know, hey, great news, we're open. You can still visit us, or otherwise, if we're not open, we'll just send something back saying that we're closed. So let's go ahead and jump in and get this going. So within the projects directory inside of the components folder, inside of UI, we'll add a file named openstatus.tsx. We'll begin by marking this file as use client because it will have a lot of client side activity. We'll bring in a few hooks to help us with this, and these will be coming from React. The first hook is going to be use effect, and we'll also use state. To help with the visual appearance of it, we'll have a few icons, and these will be React FI icons. We'll have a clock. We'll also bring in the check circle, and we'll bring in the FIX circle. So just to give a little bit more explanation behind the front end hooks, I think the icons are pretty self-explanatory, but we're using use state to keep track of the current time, and use effect is going to help us update it every minute. The FI icons, like I said, they're just going to give us a visual enhancement to the overall user experience. That isn't necessarily anything prevalent to the actual project itself. So we are using TypeScript, and we'll need to pass in some interface props. So we'll go ahead and type the keyword interface and go open status props. The first thing we'll pass in is the open hour, and that will be a number. Second thing would be the close hour, and it would be a number as well. I'm passing it in as optional because we may not want to pass anything in with it. This is just to help with the development experience, but ultimately we're going to be passing something in with these. So now let's go ahead and create the function, and we'll just name it, or do an export default function, and we'll name it open status. All right. So we know we need to pass in some props, so we can go ahead and do that now. And we'll be passing in the open hour. That's going to equal 11. And then the close hour is going to equal 20, which will represent PM, and that is military time if you're in the States. But feel free to adjust this to your local time to fit the time setting in your area. So now inside of the function, let's go ahead and gain access to our front end hooks. The first one is going to be use state. And what we want to keep track of is the time. So we'll just use the new date object so that we can have track or be able to capture the current time. And we'll create we'll create a state variable. It will be current time, and then we'll name the update of it set current time. So then now we have our state variables in place. Now it's time to use effect so that we can capture the time and have it update every minute, so the badge will have a accurate depiction of what's going on from a time perspective. So we'll go with use effect, and we'll go const interval is equal to set interval, and we'll set the current time, and that will be new date, and then we'll like for it to update every 60 seconds. So that would be 60,000. Okay. And then inside of the use effect, we'll need to return a clear interval, and we'll make sure we pass in the empty array. So basically, we're going to update the current time every 60 seconds so that the badge will have an accurate time of what time it is, and it'll be able to share that update or be distinguished based on the color. And we'll be able to distinguish that on screen with the color to the user. So they'll be able to see it immediately if we are open or not. They won't have to worry about looking down at the time itself. So we'll need to have an additional variable in place, and we'll create a const named current hour, and we'll set that equal to current time dot get hours. And these are built-in APIs that I'm leveraging from JavaScript. And then we'll also have a const name is open, and set it equal to the current hour. And if the current hour is greater than or equal to the open hour and current hour, then we know that that means that it is closed. So just to explain that, if the current hour is higher than or equal to the open hour and the current hour, then we know we're closed. That just means that we're just comparing the current hour to the opening and closing hours, and it's just going to return a Boolean, which kind of keeps it simple when we want to do conditional rendering. So this works out perfectly. So now we're ready to integrate this inside of the JSX and inside of a return statement so that we can begin to render something on screen. So inside of this div, I'm going to pass in a span, and this span is just going to say if we are open, we're going to do something. Otherwise, if we are not open, I'm trying to care for some of this. We want to display something else, and I just wanted to care for the error messages there, or the error, so we can see the screen a little clearer. So the first thing is, if we are open, we want to show open minus closes at, and then we'll use the curly braces to pass in some dynamic data, and we'll put the close hour, and at the end of it we'll just add double zeros to represent time. And then for when we're not open, it's going to be closed minus opens at, and then we'll just show the hour, and this will be open hour. Click save. Now let's just go ahead and bring this in so that we can get a better idea of what exactly this will look like. And I think where I'm going to place this for a small view is right here in the header, and we'll just have it right next to the responsive menu. And it looks like I need to update this menu as well. So we'll go ahead and do that as well. So in the header, Well, first, let's correct this category bar, change the Z index on it really quick. So we'll go to filters, category select. Actually, you know what? This may be inside of the actual page itself. So where category select is at, nope, it'll be here. Let's go Z index. Give me 1 second. Category drop down, the sticky wrapper. There we go. Sorry about it. It took me a second to find where it was in. But basically, we just changed the Z index on this header here so that now it is not so pronounced on the screen and the mobile sidebar stands out as it should. So now let's go back to close this page out for now, and we'll go back to the header. And first thing I'm going to correct the color of this header where it reads good morning. That is the side nav. So we'll go to that now, and we have a border that I just want to change. Here we go. A little border neutral 200 there. So now it aligns with the other styling as relates to the border. So I'm just going to add that indicator right here so we can, the opening status indicator, so we can see it on screen. So in the header, next to the side nav, let's import open status, and that make sure it's coming from, well, this is coming from /open status. And then I'm just going to place it right here just to see if this right there is perfect. So we'll bring in open status, and we know that this takes 2 props, and it's not giving us an error right now because we passed the statuses in as optional because we can change those. But as of right now, you see it is showing that we are closed and that we open at 11. But let's just say if we passed in open hour, we made it 10, and close hour, we made 1500 or 15. Oh, gosh, I can't think. It was 20. Let's go 19. We still see that it's closed and that we open at actual 10. So this gives us the ability to change the opening hour. But let's just say that we open at 10, but we actually close at 23. You see that we're open, but it closes at 11. So that's perfect. So now let's just give this a little bit of styling so that it actually looks like the way we would intend for it to. So we'll close out the calendar select, close out the side nav, and just go back to open status. So let's just add a little bit of styling on this so that it begins to appear the way that we would prefer it to, if you will. So style this, we'll start with the div and we'll give it a class name. Go flex, item center, gap of 2. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and bring in the icons now, be a little easier to see. So we'll go is open to determine if we are open. If we are open, I just want to show the FI check circle icon. Otherwise, if we're not open, I'm going to show the X circle icon to indicate that we're closed. And then right next to both of them, we'll have the FI clock that we brought in earlier. And we'll give this a class name of text neutral 500. Click save. So then now we see both clocks there, right? And let's just give it some color so that you can see it a little better as it pertains to which one it is. See, right now it's X because we're closed, but if we were open, this one would be a little more pronounced. But let's change the color a little bit. So we'll just set the text size to small and set the font to medium. Go padding on the X of 3, on the Y of 1. We'll go rounded, extra large, border neutral 200. Perfect. And now you see that listed there. And then we want to pass in some dynamic data. We'll say is open. If we are open, we want the background color to be green. We'll go green 50 and set the text to green 600. Otherwise, if we are closed, we want the background to be red 50 and set the text to red 600. So there you see right now we actually are closed. So it's going to give that color because we're closed. And if we were open, you would see the green color. And we'll just give a little bit of transition, duration, no, transition colors, sorry. Colors, duration, 300. And if we tweak this, let's just change the closing hour to 23. You see, it's saying that we close at 11. Now it shows green because we're open. The check mark is green and the clock is neutral because we are still open. But if we change the closing hour to 20 for 800, it says that we're closed and we don't open up again until 11. So this is perfect. This is working exactly as we intended. A simple conditionally rendered indicator to let the user know whether we are open for business or not. And we just refactored this and added it into the Next.js application. So hope you enjoyed this video and learned something along the way. If you did, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more of this style of video, let me know. I'll be happy to put it out there. But if you did enjoy the video, feel free to give me a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.